children of the one Yahweh. Ye are the chosen of the one Yahweh. And he has given his laws to us. Everything belongs to him.
Give all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High God, Yahweh. We do so in the name of his only begotten Son, who the world calls Christ, Yahweh Shai. We are the Hebrew Israelites. We come in week in and week out. We teach the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians their true biblical identity and inform them that repentance is a must in these last days because the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And if you do not repent and come back to the laws and the faith of the Mashiach Yahweh Shai, who you call Jesus Christ, you will be judged in America, right? But first, give me Genesis, man, right? Because you got all this hoopla about the 400 years. Negroes they got a whole store. Where is it at? Where the hell is 5 Points? That way? You got a whole damn store of 5 Points, the 400-year store, 1619 to 2019. Well, 2 days ago, August the 20th, marked the end of 400 years, right? So the people who believe in that, why are we still in America in slavery?
Right.
Why are we here? According to you, we supposed to leave with great substance 2 days ago. Nigga, I'm still here. Bill's still due on the 1st, right? So read that, man, so we can debunk that, all right, which I know these niggas are panicking. Now they're starting to say, oh, it's going to be it's going to be gradual from here. That's what they say. It's going to just gradually fade out from here, right? Convenient. So read.
Genesis 15 and 13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs.
Thy seed shall be a stranger in a land which is not theirs. Read.
And shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
Read.
And also,
so now understand, brothers be having a real lack of reading comprehension sometimes. That's why people misunderstand Genesis 9 and 27, which the Lord shall enlarge Japheth and dwell in the tents of Shem. People think Japheth is doing it. You got to learn how to read, brother. Right? Now, it's listing the things that are going to happen over the course of the 400 years. We're going to sojourn somewhere that's not our land and be strange. Then we're going to be afflicted. Read.
Here's the point, verse 14. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge.
Right? He would judge that nation.
Because I knew.
Right? What nation did he judge? Egypt. Read.
And afterward shall they come out with great substance.
Shall they what?
Come out with great substance.
Again, that was 2 days ago. Where's the great substance? And why aren't we coming out of America? That's my question. You got brothers on the Facebook talking about they're not in captivity no more. Right? Come on, brother. You kidding me? Read.
I'm going to keep going down. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age.
Well, why aren't we going to our fathers in peace right now? Right? Niggas getting shot today. Right? We're supposed to be going to our fathers in peace. We're supposed to be leaving the place that afflicted us with great substance. We're not doing any of that right now. So how can you rationalize that that's talking about America? And if you thought it was, now on August the 22nd, which this is, how can you believe that that's talking about this time? How? Read.
Here's the cut for it all. Verse 16. But in the fourth generation.
In the what?
Fourth generation.
In the what?
Fourth generation.
Fourth generation and not 400 years. That's how you have to understand this. They say in the fourth generation, what's going to happen?
They shall come hither again.
They shall what?
Come hither again.
They shall come back to their land. Right? First you have to understand is this. When we went into even Canaan was a sojourner for us and was strange to us. Populated by people who were not us. We were a minority, just a family that lived amongst several other nations of the Canaanites. Right? Amongst the Hittites, amongst the people of Shechem, etc. that you read about in Genesis. Then from there we leave because of a drought. Then we go up into Egypt. So we're sojourning amongst strange people in strange lands that entire time. Go ahead.
It says, for the iniquity of the Amorites.
For the what?
The iniquity of the Amorites.
Who are the Amorites? That's the key question to this whole thing. Because Negroes like to start getting real selective with prophecy. Who are the Amorites? The Amorites are Canaanites, right? We know the Canaanites descend from who? Descend from Ham, right? So this whole thing, the whole judgment and the whole 400 years and how we gonna come out is centered around the iniquity or the sin of the Amorite, right? We've been here in America being afflicted by the so-called white man. He is not an Amorite. He is not a Canaanite. He is not a Hamite. He's an Edomite. So what relation is the iniquity of the Amorites to our captivity in America. It's zero relation. The Hamites or the Amorites that lived in the land that we ended up conquering and calling Israel after we come out of Egypt are all the way back then on our ancient people. It's no relation to today at all. Go ahead.
It says, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full.
It's not yet full. Meaning the Lord said, listen, I'm going to send y'all out of Canaan and I'm going to send y'all into Egypt in order for time to be bought for the evil of these people known as the Amorites to reach a head. What's going on, sister?
I just want to listen.
You just want to listen? And y'all heard that y'all are Israelites before? Are you familiar with that information that y'all are the Israelites?
Listen.
Y'all
You just keep talking.
all right, that's fine, but I just want to let y'all know that y'all are Hebrew Israelites, all right? According to y'all are the people of God, the people of Christ, the people of Moses. Go ahead.
That's it.
Read the precept you're going to. Go ahead.
First, I'm gonna get this. Jeremiah 8:20. The harvest is past.
Read on.
The summer is ended.
Read on.
And we are not
See,
saved.
that's the point. We have not been saved out of here. So that prophecy has no relation to America, but you have brothers who are trying to force it to America. It makes no sense, right? Read, there's prophecies in this Bible about America, about what we're going through as a people right now. There's plenty of them, but we can't go and try to force fit things, right? Let the Bible just say what it says. There's thousands of years that happened before. We're in the year, what, 2019. That means 2,000 years ago, something happened. That something that happened is called the New Testament. That's the back of the book. So think about the amount of time that passed for the whole rest of that book. There was all kind of things that happened, so we can't make everything about today because it's not. But there are certainly things, prophecies, etc. about and are applicable to the time that we're in now as a people, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian. But go ahead with the precept.
Acts 7:17. But when the time of the promise drew nigh.
When the what?
Time of the promise drew nigh.
The time of the promise was us going and getting the promised land. That's the time of the promise that was drawing near. Read.
Which God has sworn to Abraham.
Which God what?
Has sworn to Abraham.
Which we just were reading about. Read.
The people grew and multiplied in Egypt.
Right? We were in Egypt and we grew and we multiplied. We walked into Egypt as 70 people. Now here's the thing. We walk into Egypt 70 people and we come out an innumerable multitude out of Egypt. Scholars estimate something around 2 million, right? So that's something that takes time. Read.
It says, till another king arose, which knew not Joseph.
So another king arose and knew not Joseph. When you understand that, now we got to go into the history of Egypt. Because a lot of brothers don't even understand the history of Egypt and the Exodus and what we were going through in that time, right? So hold on real quick. Grab my notes on this. You got a point, bring your point out.
And when you read Acts 7, really starting at verse, really the whole chapter, it goes into the history of the Most High God is promised with Abraham and then us going into Egypt and leaving out of Egypt. There's no way you read Acts 7 and think that Genesis 15 is talking about America, number one. Number two, like the brother was bringing up, who are the Amorites and what is the iniquity of the Amorites? You have to understand that. Then you have to understand what's the, they will come hither again after the fourth generation. What does that mean? What is that talking about? Once you read, they read Genesis 15, like the first two verses, like 13 on down, but they don't read 16 because there's no way you can apply 16 to America. Who are the Amorites? What's the four generations? What's the iniquity of the Amorites? These are questions that they can't answer. But they're trying to force fit prophecy because they want out of America, which we do too, but we can't twist what the scriptures say because we want to hasten the day.
Exactly. Go ahead.
There's prophecies that tell us how close we are. We don't need to twist the scriptures to let us know how close we are.
That's right.
It's clear in the scripture, and we're going to go into it, how close we are.
That's right. But yeah, so you can understand when we go into Egypt, you have Joseph, which is in power, right? And he was a top guy. He wasn't the ruler of Egypt, but he was a top guy in Egypt, right? And he had a whole town that we were dwelling in that was called, if you look it up now, as an archaeological site, it's called Avaris. That's where you can see Joseph's house. You can see the little pyramid they built to bury Joseph in that was broken into, just like the Bible says. It says when we left Egypt, we broke into Joseph's tomb and took his bones up out of it. All right? Because Egypt was into what? Mummifying people. They got mummies and they're super into the dead like that. Israel, all we care about is the bones. If you go into what they call the Jerusalem necropolis, all that's in there is boxes of your whole family bones is in a box. All we cared about is the bones, right? So go ahead, which is because there's something significant about bones, because when a dead body hit Alicia's bones, the nigga came back to life. Yeah. So bones are special in the Bible, right? And you either see that in lot casting with bones, etc. All of that, right? Like back in the ancient days, they used to make dice out of bones, and that's how they would cast lots, right? So read that.
I got another precept. This is Exodus 12, and going back to they shall lead that nation, and that's just.
And also, Salakia, and the reason why too, it's been propagated in the earth that we was in Egypt for 400 years is really to discredit the Bible, right? They try to force fit a pharaoh that's not the actual Exodus pharaoh, and they force fit a timeline, and they do that, and then they go, oh, the Israelites went in Egypt because under this pharaoh there was nothing like that happening, and what about this time? They do that all to discredit it. But if you put it in proper context according to Scripture, and you really look at the right timeline, we're right there. It's plain as day. If you look up real quick, Amen-Misi, that's what he called, Amen-Misi. Amen-Misi is Moses, right? That's the Egyptian name for Moses. Remember, he was raised by the Egyptians. So what they call him his Hebrew name, when they have a name for him. They had a name for him called Amen-Misi, right? But first, if you go into the tomb of Khnum-Hotep, you see us coming in. That's a lot of us have seen the picture that they have of us coming in there, right? We've seen the picture. We showed it last night on last night's thing with the Jewish boy, right, who was trying to say we were white. The Israelites were white when they went in. You clearly see they're of color. But right, if you go into the tomb of Khnum-Hotep, you can see that picture. Then you can see the picture of them making us bow down to him, right? So it's telling you the story of we came in, it was all good. Then they began to subjugate us, right? But then Salakia, Amen-Misi raised up, right? And when Amen-Misi raised up, he had the pharaoh Seknakte raised up. That's his name, Set-Nakte, right? He raised up, and when he raised up, he went to war with Amen-Misi, right? But now watch this. Also, Amen-Misi killed somebody named Nefer-Hotep for mistreating slaves. The same way what you read in the Bible about Moses killing the dude for mistreating the slaves, Nefer-Hotep was killed by Amen-Misi. So coincidentally, he got a similar name. He killed somebody for mistreating slaves, right? Then look, he flee. This is all in Egyptian records. The Papyrus Assault 124. Then he flees to Midian, right? Which is right where it says Moses went to. Met a woman whose father was a priest of Midian, and that's his damn wife, right? Flees to Midian, then comes back to Egypt and gathers a coalition of what they call Asiatic slaves. So anybody from Canaan, they call Asiatic, right? That's why they call the Hebrew language an Afro-Asiatic language, right? Then boom, he leads the Asiatics to steal gold, silver, and clothes from Egypt, according to the Papyrus Harris. Then the pharaoh expels, lets them go free, then chases Amen-Misi and loses them at Sinai. That's literally the exact thing it says in Exodus, right? But if you are looking in the wrong places during the wrong timeline and for the wrong people, you're not going to see it, right? But if you look in the right places and the right papyruses on the right walls, the entire Exodus narrative that we read in the Bible is totally corroborated by Egyptian history and archaeology. But if you think it's Ramses and we were there for 400 years, you're not going to find it. It's impossible. People forget the Bible is what you would call a historiographical narrative. So when you're reading Genesis and you're reading Exodus, it's narrated after it happened because it's being copied from older scripts. It's not like now where you could just mass print the Bible. They literally, niggas was handwriting all of that. You see what I'm saying? So they're writing it after. So if it's Ramses, when I'm writing this, I'm calling it Ramses, right? The same way the Mercedes-Benz Dome has not existed forever in Atlanta, has it? No, right? But if you're telling the story that happened on the corner where Mercedes-Benz Dome is, now, even though it wasn't there then, you're going to say, yeah, this happened right over there by the Mercedes-Benz Dome. Why? Because I understand that the Mercedes-Benz, I didn't live here before that, right? See what I'm saying? So that's what they call a historiographical narrative. But you got to understand these things, and once you put it in the proper context, you understand that 400 years had already happened in Egypt. But it wasn't talking about we were going to be enslaved in Egypt. It's talking about us sojourning, us going into Egypt, and then us coming back into the wilderness and then back into Canaan. That whole thing took 400 years, but we weren't subjugated in Egypt for 400 years. Right? It was more about 210 years during the time of our subjugation. But go ahead.
Yeah, and then like the brother brought out, they bring out these false claims to bring down the validity of the Bible. That's why, what's the most popular Exodus movie? The Prince of Egypt. It says Ramses.
Yeah, every time
it's Ramses. And they make sure to say Ramses. So now you have to man, oh, it's Ramses.
It's Ramses. Then you go look for Ramses, and you're like, man, ain't nothing like this happened during the time of Ramses. You know what I'm saying? But Ramses II, firstborn son, died by a plague. How did that happen? Oh, maybe when the firstborn of all Egypt died? You see what I'm saying? So all of this is very consistent, but you just got to know where to look. And oftentimes our people lazy as hell, they don't know where to look, right? But read that.
This is Exodus 12, because this all lines up. Just read the Exodus, read the Bible, it's pretty clear. Exodus 12 and 36 to 37. And the Lord Yahweh gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required. And they spoiled the Egyptians.
We finessed the Egyptians. Didn't it just say that Amamisi leads Asiatic slaves to steal gold, silver, and clothes from the Egyptians? Same thing the Bible say happened, right? So we gotta pay attention. But give me the apocrypha because you're going to go into the iniquity. Because mind you, what happens? Why does the Lord even send us into Egypt in the first place? Because there's a famine, right? Who stays in Canaan? The Canaanites are in Canaan still, right? So they're living in Canaan while there's a famine. That's a part of their punishment. We weren't to partake in that. So the Most High left them there and brought us out of there so they can deal with that aspect, and that was all a part of what the brother's getting ready to read about. Start at the top. Yeah.
Wisdom of Solomon 12, I'm going to start at verse 2.
Yeah.
Therefore chastenest thou them little and little.
He chastening them people little by little. Right? As he reads on, it's going to become clear what he's talking about. But what's happening is he's chastening them little by little. And that famine in part was a part of that chastening. Right? Read.
And warnest them by putting them in remembrance wherein they have offended, and leaving their wickedness, that they may believe on thee, O Lord. For it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of thy holy land.
You see that? But he was afflicting them and plaguing them little by little. The famine was a part of that. But the ultimate will of the Most High was what? Us going up in there and killing them, man. Right? Read.
Whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcraft.
Why did he hate them? For doing most odious works of witchcraft. They were evil and satanic as hell. Read on.
And wicked sacrifices.
And what?
Wicked sacrifices.
That's the main thing that the Most High have against the Canaanites. That's the iniquity of the Amorites. The wicked sacrifices. What were the wicked sacrifices? They killed their kids. The Most High hates that. The Most High hates somebody sacrificing a baby. He can't stand it. And they did that. And they're so retarded because the reason they do that is because they think if they kill a baby, it's going to bring more fertility to them. They feel like if they kill a baby, they're going to have more babies. That is stupidity. Read.
I got something real quick. That's why this is Deuteronomy 18 and 3. I'll get it later. This is back to Wisdom of Solomon 12. It says, and also those merciless murderers of children.
Those what?
Merciless murderers of children.
So even it's funny because Sonetta just called me, asked me a couple questions, right? And one of the questions he said was, well, why did God? Basically, he said, what did he ask me? If something about oh no, he asked me about Leviticus 19 and 11, right? Which says, you shall neither lie nor deal falsely nor steal one from another. He said, so then why did God let y'all go in there and steal the Canaanites' land? Well, this is why. Yeah. Because they killed babies and the Most High hated that. So he said, y'all gonna go in there and kill them. And a worthy, as it's going to say later, a worthy colony of God's people was going to dwell in that most holy land. Read.
This is what I want to select. Leviticus 18 and 3. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwell, shall ye not do.
Don't follow those homosexual, those strange Egyptians. Read.
And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you,
I'm going to bring you into this land where they like to kill babies. And they have a strip club too. This is where the strip club comes from, Canaan. Right? Read.
It says, shall ye not do.
Shall ye not do. So don't kill babies and don't build poles that women dance around. That's what God is telling you not to do. And don't be a homosexual and don't practice incest. Because that's what the Canaanites do. Read.
It says, shall ye not do, neither shall you walk in their ordinances.
Don't walk after the way that they teach their way of life. Right? Read on.
I'm going to jump to verse 21 and keep going. It all ties into this. Verse 21. And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech.
See that? Because he elaborates. He gives that blanket statement, and then the commandments that follow that are all tied back into that initial statement. That's the context. So we said, you shall not allow your seed to pass unto Molech. Right? You don't sacrifice your babies. Right. How have they set up Molech in this time? They set up Molech through setting up something called Planned Parenthood. Right? Right. Does Planned Parenthood have the OWL program? Right? Yes, they do. Anybody can look this up. Planned Parenthood has something called the OWL program. How is Molech deified? What is a statue of Molech looking like? A goddamn owl. All right. How is the owl used prevalently today? Well, number one, it's on your dollar bill. Two, Drake sell it on a crew neck. Right. So go ahead.
It says
as well as a pair of Jordans. Right. So read.
Neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord. I'm gonna keep going.
That's right. See, Salaki, and it's really not a secret. Y'all remember when OVO, when he first went big with OVO, right? It was when he came out with headlines, right? Headlines. Remember the headline video? Them niggas is in the woods and there's this big ass stone altar behind it. That's not no, because that's how the Canaanites used to do it. They used to be in the woods with a stone altar, burning little babies to the owl, right? But with Bohemian Grove, they still got that in San Francisco right now, right? So none of that stuff is a secret, right? In Bohemian Grove, they literally got an owl bigger than this damn, well, not bigger than the hotel, but bigger than this part of it. It ain't like that. Bigger than this hotel, where they do something called the cremation of care, right? Where, but now, who seen when Alex Jones went? You seen that? Have you seen that Alex Jones went up in there? Alex Jones infiltrated. A lot of people think it's fake because they ain't killed no real kid, but they did a mock ceremony, right? And it wasn't no real kid they burnt up, but they burnt like a fake kid, though. You see what I'm saying? On it to this big ass 40-foot owl. And I'm talking about the who's who of politicians, world leaders, top actor Danny Glover go there. A lot of Negroes be going up in there too. And they say Obama was in there doing all kind of madness. I don't know. This is what they say, right? No, this is what they say. But I seen them burn the damn fake baby to the 40-foot owl. So that's all that goes back to. Read.
I'm gonna keep going on Leviticus 18. It says, "Defile not yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you."
Like that thing is the owl symbology is big information, and the reason why it's big is that because the owl can see at night, right? Who remember when Ross had the song with John Legend, right? He had the Freemason song with John Legend, and he opened it with "Salute to all my niggas that can see at midnight," or something to that effect, right? All of that ties back in it, right? But go ahead.
It says, verse 25, "And the land is defiled, therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it."
Exactly. So because these guys are killing babies to a statue of an owl, the Most High said, "I'm sending y'all in there to kill these things." That's simple. Read.
"And the land itself vomited out her inhabitants."
That's right. The Holy Land does not like wicked people, cannot stand wicked people in it for too long. That's why Esau getting ready to get up. That's why Most High got Esau dropping dead and getting skin cancer that live in Israel right now. Because they're not supposed to be there. Read.
Verse 27. "For all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled. That the land spew not you out also when ye defile."
So you don't do this, because if you do this, the land is going to be defiled and spew you out. That's why we got kicked out of Israel, right? If you read about all the time that led up to any of our expulsions, like the Babylonian, for example, grove, they said there was a grove on every block, right? That's the literal equivalent to there being a strip club on every block. That's how bad it was, right? Because that's what a grove is, so you can understand. A grove is nothing more than the ancient biblical term for a strip club. They will carve a pole out of a tree and women dance around it, and you take it into a booth and you do whatever the hell you want for a piece of change. That's what it is, right? We know what that is. And they said there was one on every block. That might be a little bit of plebeianism, but that means there was a gang of them. They was everywhere, right? It was a part of the culture at that point, right? So that's part of the reason we got kicked out. Right, read.
It says that the land spew not you out also when ye defile it, as it spewed out the nations that were before you.
That's right. And like it kicked the nations out, right? So we got kicked out of Israel because of that, right? Now go back to that.
Watch this. Y'all gonna see it's gonna totally line up with the whole history. Listen to Psalm 12, and I'm gonna start verse 5 again. And also those merciless murderers of children.
That's what they did. Mercilessly killed children. The Most High hates the merciless murder of children by the parents. He hates greed.
And devourers of man's flesh.
And what?
And devourers of man's flesh.
And they were cannibal. They were practicing cannibalism. And they practiced cannibalism in Egypt as well. Right? That's documented on the wall. Read.
And the feast of blood.
And what?
The feast of
they
blood.
They ate human beings. They consumed blood. Right? That's what these Hamites were doing. And do Hamites do that today? Yes. You have cannibalism among many Hamites today. Right? So it's not far-fetched that this is a part of their culture. Read.
It says that the land, so verse 6, with their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew.
Out of their idolatrous crew, read on.
And the parents that killed with their own hands souls destitute of help.
Read on.
That the land...
And the Northern Kingdom start doing this. Why you think the conquistadors, the Most High let the conquistadors come? Because the Northern Kingdom began to do this, man. The Mayans and Aztecs began to sacrifice their children, right? So when you start doing that, the Most High, he's coming to get you. He's not standing for that. Read.
That the land which thou esteemest above all other might receive a worthy colony of God's children.
Might receive what?
A worthy colony of God's children.
Meaning, when the iniquity of the Amorites was fulfilled, I'm sending y'all back into Israel. A worthy colony of God's children should be in the Holy Land. It's that simple. That's what this is all related to. It has nothing to do with America, right? There's the on that.
I mean, it just goes on to the wasp that they sent in there.
How do you send the wasp? Yeah, exactly. Now give me Ezekiel 4, because we're gonna go into the 430 years. This is the prophecy that's in the neighborhood of 400 years that's pertinent to this time, or more so the time since we've been in the America. Because even this prophecy is up, right? So read that.
Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 4.
Uh-huh.
Lie thou also upon thy left
So
side.
we tell the prophet Ezekiel, matter of fact, start at 1.
Ezekiel 4 and 1.
Uh-huh.
Thou also, son of man,
Uh-huh.
take thee a tile and lay it before thee,
Uh-huh.
and portray upon it the city, even Jerusalem.
Right, so he literally had Ezekiel build like a little miniature model of Jerusalem, right? Read.
Verse 2. And lay siege against it, and build it.
And
fort.
basically, he had Ezekiel playing G.I. Joes out there.
No, yeah.
Lay siege against it, right? So he had to get the, remember the little army, niggas had the thing on the bottom, and you know what I'm saying? This is the type of thing he got Ezekiel doing. But it's all got symbology in it, right? Most times sometimes have the prophets do something crazy, right? But it's all for the symbology of what's getting ready to happen. So read.
It says, and cast a mount against it, set the camp also against it, and set battery rams against it round about.
Read on.
It's like two, if I may. That's why Ezekiel also, if you read the book of Ezekiel, he's constantly doing stuff that's symbolic of the nation of Israel. That's why the Most High had to eat certain things, and it was a symbolic of the children of Israel.
Well, that's in this chapter.
It's in the same,
Same chapter. Even Isaiah, he had Isaiah walking around his drawers for 3 years. As a symbol, as a sign, right? How many of us ready to walk around in our drawers for 3 years? So read.
It says, moreover, thou take thou unto thee an iron pan, and set it for a wall of iron between thee and the
So
city.
now he's putting an iron pan. That goes back to Deuteronomy 28. I shall make your heaven iron, right? Read.
Right.
And it shall be besieged. Set thy face against it, and it shall be besieged, and thou shalt lay siege against it. This shall be a sign to the house of Israel.
It's all a sign. The same way like Ezekiel also had to take 2 sticks and bring them into one. That was a sign. Zechariah had 2 sticks as well. All these are symbols. They're what we call teaching tools, right? Keep going.
Verse 4. Lie thou.
So this siege is talking about the Babylonians was coming. No, so like 70 AD, because this already happened. So that's a reference to 70 AD, the Romans coming against us and kicking us out of it. Right, read? And Ezekiel deal with that a lot, because you go into that in the next chapter also. Go ahead.
Lie thou also upon thy left side, and lay the iniquity of the house of Israel upon it.
So he said, now you're going to lay down. The next symbol I'm going to have you do is lay down. And you're going to lie on your left side, right? Read. And the iniquity of the house of Israel. Who's the house of Israel? The northern kingdom, the Latin tribe. He said, lay the iniquity of the house of Israel. Read.
It says, according to the number of the days, thou shalt lie upon it. Thou shalt lie upon it, thou shalt bear their iniquity.
Thou shalt lie upon. I'm going to tell you how many days, and these days are going to represent the years that they're going to have to suffer this iniquity. Read.
For I have laid upon thee the years of their iniquity, according to the number of the days,
Read on.
390 days.
390 days. So that symbolized 390 years of affliction. Now, if you lay on one side for 390 days, you lay on one side for too many damn hours, you're going to be in pain. My left side is killing me right? For days it's been killing me. Why? Laying on it too damn much, right? So imagine how much 390 days is going to feel like. Read on.
So shalt thou bear the iniquity of the house of Israel. And when thou hast accomplished them,
After 390 days of laying on your left side, read.
lie again on thy right side.
Then turn over to your right side, read.
And thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Judah.
Then
40
you go and
days.
do it Judah, which is Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, 40 days, right? So it's a day for a year the same way. So what does that equal out to? 430 years of a concurrent sentence that we earned in a damn conspiracy case of crimes against the Most High. As a nation, we earned 430 years of captivity, right? When did that start? Well, when did the transatlantic slave trade start? In 1441. See, that's the problem with getting on Judah lately. Judah only see them damn self. So that's why they think the 400 years is over. They think the 400 years started in 1619. Slavery, the transatlantic slave trade started in 1441, right? With the capture of brothers from the west coast of Africa and being brought back to Portugal, right? That's 1441. Then the next slave ship was 1493 of the tribe of Ephraim being sent back to Spain, right? That's long before, that's 150 years before Jamestown, right? 150 years before Jamestown, we already going into slavery. Then as early as 1501, you have brothers taken from the west coast of Africa and brought to South America. So that's when this starts. And it ends around the 1870s, because we know slavery in America ended in about 1865, but it lasted in like Puerto Rico and Cuba and Brazil a little bit longer than that. So what does that equal out to? 430 years. See what I'm saying? Perfectly. We ain't gotta put no extras on it. We don't gotta force fit it. It fits perfectly. That was a time of hardcore bondage. We're still in slavery, but we're not in the hardcore bondage. We're not on the field and there's a whip. And you see what I'm saying? It's different now. Not that we're not in captivity, but we're not in the hardcore bondage that we were for 4 centuries. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
I have appointed thee each day for a year.
Read on. Listen on that.
Yes, on that.
So that's the time that we're in now. But let's show the near 400 years that deals exclusively with the U.S. of A. Revelations 11.
Revelation 11 and 11.
Uh-huh.
And after 3 days and a half,
Right, 3 days and a half. That's 350 years in this prophetic aspect. Right, after 3 days and a half, what's going to happen?
the Spirit of life from God entered into them.
See, because when we were going through this captivity from 1619, in specific the tribe of Judah, from 1619 to 1969, we did not have a true understanding of this Bible, right? This Bible was being retaught to us through the lens of the white man, right? And it was being cherry picked from it. That's why you have something called the slave Bible, right? By now, it's not a secret that there was an amended slave Bible that exists with only select passages for the purpose of controlling black slaves on plantations. We understand that. So during that time of that 350 years of that 3.5 days, we didn't have this understanding, right? Read.
Daniel 12 and 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book.
That's right, the book was sealed. The understanding of this Bible, nobody had true understanding of this Bible during that time. Nobody. Read.
It says, even to the time of the end.
In the last days, that's when the true understanding of this Bible was going to be understood. And the Most High, He's so powerful, we give all praises to Him. Because He's given us all the tools now, right? We're looking at this book in retrospect with historical sources. We're looking at the languages. We're looking at every damn thing. So we be able to really understand it. He's given us all the tools in this time to where we can have to where we can confidently say we understand it better than some of the men that was back there. You think when John see a dragon and he's seeing all this stuff, you think he understand what that's talking about?
Right.
He didn't get it. He was like, nigga, I see this big ass dragon. I don't know what to do. He thought he was tripping. You have people going around that say that John was high on mushrooms, right? People believe that, right? Because what he was seeing was trippy. But in truth, it all meant something, but it just wasn't apparent at that time because that empire did not exist, right? Yet. Read.
I got a reason just to prove that. First Peter, first I'm in Daniel 12 and 4. It says, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book. Even to the time of the end, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased.
See, in the end times, knowledge is going to be increased. Because now, and the Most High has put the spirit on Esau to go out and excavate and be nosy as hell and try to figure everyone of the earth out and document their history, and that works to our advantage. Give me the earth to help.
Yeah, I know.
Right? It is all a part of prophecy that this was going to happen. Right? And that's why we can really look back in retrospect and say, damn, this really happened the way it say it happened. Right? Deacon can call me early and say, damn, this is exactly how it happened. And they have the actual document. See, the book of Isaiah, they have the what they call the proto-Isaiah. So Isaiah is like the first 39 chapters of Isaiah, they believe they have the autograph for it, right? Which is the only book in the Bible that they think is like this is the original, right? The first 39 chapters of Isaiah. And there's prophecies in there that happened 200 years later, precisely like it said, right? And these are things that we even, I said, he called, it was like Isaiah 22. I said, damn, I don't even think I ever read Isaiah 22. You know what I'm saying? You know, Isaiah 17 and, you know, you read the later chapters of Isaiah. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the parts we neglect are parts we should be going into because now I'm seeing, damn, this is a 200-year-old prophecy that happens 200 years later, and they got the actual documentation that no scholar calls into question. They all have came to a consensus on this is dated at 800 BCE. But what happens in it is 524 BCE. So what that means? That's an indisputable prophecy, right? Go ahead.
Same thing with
and it calls by name Elam. It says Elam and the Medes. The Medio-Persians calls them by name. So there's no way around this, right? Go ahead.
Same thing with Daniel in the Persian, in the Greeks. He says that Alexander's going to take down the Persian Medes.
That's right.
Same thing.
How does he know that? He's living in Babylon. How does he be able to foresee Alexander the Great rising to power. Then Alexander the Great,
The four generals.
with the four generals, dying and delegating his empire to four different men and their seat.
Then Antiochus.
You know what I'm saying? All of that, he had that document. Right? How does he know that? Go ahead.
I got a precept for that. Revelation 12 and 16.
Read
And
on.
the earth helped the woman.
And the what?
The earth helped the
The
woman.
earth helped the woman. So these excavations that Esau's going around the world doing, just trying to hoard all the knowledge of the earth to himself and try to learn and steal ideas from ancient peoples, it's actually assisting us in us understanding these scriptures. Read.
So I'm going to read this now. 1 Peter 1 and 10 to 12. Of which salvation the prophets, that's the topic, the prophets
Yes.
have inquired and searched diligently.
See, they acquired, the prophets of old, they was curious about this. They inquired and searched diligently, but they didn't have a full understanding like we do. Why? Because we're looking at everything in retrospect now. See what I'm saying? Read.
Who prophesied of the grace that should come unto you. I'm going to jump to verse 12.
They talk about it, but
Yeah.
they didn't fully understand it. Read.
Verse 12. Unto whom it was revealed that not unto themselves, but unto us they did minister the things.
And they're not even realizing who this Peter.
Yeah.
Peter not even realizing, because they were looking for it to happen in their time. Peter not even realizing it ain't even for you, it's for us in these times. Right? Go ahead.
I got something for that too. It says, but unto us they did minister the things which are now reported unto you by them that have preached the gospel unto you with the Holy Ghost.
That's right. Another precept?
Yeah. I'm just going back to that. Okay. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 14. I'm gonna start at verse 20. I'm gonna start verse 21. No, I'm gonna start verse 20. Slide. It says, behold, Lord, I will go and as thou hast commanded me, and reprove the people which are present, but they that shall be born afterward, who shall admonish them? Thus the world is set in darkness, and they that dwell therein is without light. For thy law is burnt, therefore no man knoweth the things that are done of thee, or of the works that shall begin. But if I have found grace before thee, send the Holy Spirit into me, and I shall write all that have been done in the world since the beginning, which were written in thy law, that men may find thy path, and that they which live in the latter days may live.
Well, that goes into them talking about Ezra's copy of the Torah. You see what I'm saying? That's the precept one.
Yeah, also too, that's also too the going back to 1 Peter 1. That's not written for the people. The prophecy that Daniel received, or Ezekiel received, or Isaiah received, they're going to be long gone when those prophecies come to pass. So who were those prophecies written for? For the people in the time that those prophecies are fulfilled. So that is essentially is that. This whole Bible is written, of course, for our people throughout generations, but specifically for those in the latter days, as it's written right there.
What's going on, brother? You got a question? You familiar with this information?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
No, so you never heard of the Hebrew Israelites before? Yes, sir. You have? So what do you know about the Hebrew Israelites?
I know that you guys worship. Who do y'all worship?
The God of the Bible?
Which one?
There's only one God of the Bible.
There's only one true living God
In the Bible, yeah.
in the Bible.
So that's certainly what we worship.
What's his name?
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Yeah,
In the Bible?
of course. What say you his name is?
His name is Jesus.
His name is Jesus?
Yes.
Okay, give me the Father. Let's see if Jesus Christ says he's the one true God. But you just say he's the one true God. Is he the one true God, or is he the son of the one true God?
The Son of the one true.
Okay, so what's the name of the one true God?
The name of the one true God.
Yeah.
You go to the Son.
But that's not what I asked you. What is the name of the What is the name of the one true God? The one true God got to have a name.
He is God of heaven, I suppose.
Who's God of heaven? Jesus Christ is the God of heaven? You have a Bible verse that
He
points
is
to
the
that.
King of heaven.
Look, you say he's the God of heaven, right? So here's the problem. You show a verse that say he's the God of heaven.
He said, Lord of lords, King of kings, God of gods.
No, where does it say God of gods?
It's a revelation.
No, where does it say God of gods in Revelation? It say Lord of lords, and it say King of kings. Where does it say God of gods?
Look in Revelation.
Give me the Bible, read. Let me show you something. Go ahead.
This is 1 Corinthians 8 and 6.
Uh-huh.
But to us, there's but one God.
There's one God who?
the Father.
The who?
The Father.
There's one true God, the Father, not the Son. So that's out the way, right? Just so we can understand that, right? So first you said Jesus, right? So Did the letter J exist when Jesus Christ walked the earth? Brother, I wanted to give you more credit for that. The letter J didn't exist until the 1500s. The 1500s is when it existed. In the first Bible, I want you to say, you're not Jesus. Come on, that's Kanye West. In the first Bible, brother, the letter J is not even in it. Who got 1611? You got 1611? I remind you. But the first English Bible that was produced don't even got the word Jesus in it. Now, somebody might be in the book bag. It's called the 1611 King James Version. Going at 1611, which is the first King James Version that they published. See this? Right? Listen, but I'm not saying that King James is his name. This is what we know it as now. You said the name of the one true God is Jesus. King James is not the one true God. So I can call him anything I want to, right? But when we're dealing with the worship of the one and true God, we got to get his name right? Because Acts 4, matter of fact, let me show you this. This is the book of Matthew, right? First book of the New Testament, the Gospel, right? So here we go. So if you can read that 1 and 1, right? It said the book of the generation of, what does that say? Right here, the book right here, 1 and 1. Aisis. Don't say Jesus, right? Say Aisis. See that? This is the book of Matthew, right? King James 1611 edition. This is the first one that they published. The revision came almost 200 years later. That's when the J came in, 200 years after that.
My Bible says Jesus.
I know because you have the revision, right? So I'm just informing you that Jesus, of course, is not the name of Jesus.
Let me ask you something. You do know if anyone has anything to do with things that from God's person?
Of course. No, the evolution of a language is not the same of adding to the Bible. That's a translation. What language did Jesus speak? We spoke Hebrew. This is Aramaic. We spoke Hebrew. Fact is, Aramaic or Hebrew is not English. So in order for them to put anything in English, they got to change. They got to put it into English that makes sense phonetically into English. So they did something called a transliteration. From Hebrew, they transliterated into Greek. From Greek, they transliterated into English. So that's why it's Aisus, and then once the letter J became standard in English and they put out a new version, they called it Jesus. Aisus. But Aisus or Jesus is not his name, period. Because he did not speak English. He was a Hebrew. He spoke Hebrew. So his name is Yahweh Shai. That's the name of Christ, right? Now, this is why it's important. Acts 4 and 12.
Acts chapter 4, verse 12.
Read on.
It says, for neither is there salvation in any other.
There is salvation. There's not salvation in any other. Read.
For there is none other name.
There's no other name. Read.
Under heaven, even among men, whereby we must be saved.
So there's only one name given among heaven for what we're saved by. That's got to be the name that he was born with. No, not Aisus. That's an English transliteration. The name he was born with is Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai. It's in Hebrew. What was the Bible written in? Was the Bible written in English?
The Bible was written, it's still written in English.
No, it was only written in, listen, the Bible's only written in two languages. Right? Hebrew and Aramaic. That's the only two languages this is written. But a translation is not what it's all. But a translation, brother, is not what it's originally written in. That's a translation. It's been translated into every language you can think of. But what was it originally written in? What was the language that Christ spoke? That's the question. And once we find that answer, we find that's the answer that we have to go by. We're not just calling him Jesus, because in the King James it says Jesus. He didn't call himself Jesus. Nobody said, hey, Jesus. He doesn't answer to that name because that's not his name. See what I'm saying? Right? You don't, and what's your name, brother?
My name is Yamir.
Yamir, right? Yeah. If I called you Jamir, are you going to answer to that?
Maybe, yeah. If people are saying J for Y, yeah.
But your name is Yamir. Are you familiar with pronouns? You know what a pronoun is? A proper noun? Right, so for example, right, like if you watch a Japanese, they got Coca-Cola in Japan, right? They got Coca-Cola in Japan. If you watch a Japanese Coca-Cola commercial, it'll sound like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola. They'll talk in all Japanese, and then they'll go Coca-Cola. You know why? Because Coca-Cola is a proper noun. You have to say Coca-Cola. There's only one Coca-Cola. It doesn't translate into nothing. The same way with name. Your name is Yamir. They would say Yamir. You see what I'm saying? Even though they would speak a whole set of Japanese, your name is going to be your name. It doesn't change. You see what I'm saying? That's how proper nouns work, and they go from language to language. You understand what I'm saying? Go get the point.
Yeah, it's Daniel's son. They don't make him new name. It's Daniel's son.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay, so what about Yahshua?
Yahshua is an Aramaic transliteration, right? So all those things are just from taking Yahushua from Hebrew into Aramaic, and you deal with the vowel systems that they added into it. Now it turns into Yahshua, right? But in the most original and ancient form, the language that the common Israelite, the common Jew spoke at the time when Christ walked the earth is Yahushua. That's his name. You see what I'm saying? Precept? Go ahead.
Sirach, intro to Sirach. For the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them. And not only these things, but the law itself and the prophets and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language.
So it's telling you that the Bible is not the same unless you don't deal with the original language. See what I'm saying? So you have to study the original. Not saying you have to be a fluent Hebrew speaker, but you have to deal with deciphering, right? Being able to study, look at Hebrew words, understand what they mean, things of that nature, as well as Greek with parts of the New Testament, right? That's the only way you're going to get a true understanding of the Bible. English doesn't do it enough justice, right? So we got to look at it and we got to analyze it. You know what I'm
Are
saying?
you familiar in the Bible when it talks about all these tongues coming together and it was praying? It said everyone, he was able to make everyone pray with him.
In a different tongue, that's actually
Every language was able to come together.
Of course. I didn't say that you have to speak Hebrew. You can speak whatever language you want, but you have to study Hebrew. Because that is what it was written. So you're not going to fully understand the scriptures if you're not looking at them from a Hebrew perspective, because it's written from a Hebrew. See what I'm saying? So if we're not, like for example, if there's so much slang in the average talk that we have, right? We have a lot of slang in our talk. Now, if we all died in 200 years, 300 years from now, people caught a Facebook thread of you and your boy going back and forth, and all they had was an English dictionary, right? They're gonna look like, well, what the hell are these guys talking about? You see what I'm saying? Imagine when they're talking about, yo, I'm finna bend this corner and get some loud. And imagine what somebody's gonna think, see that. So apparently they had the ability to bend the corner, and it made a lot of noise. You see what I'm saying? That's what it's gonna be the whole time. You're talking about getting in the car and buying some damn weed. Not that you should be buying weed, but that's a lot of people talking about that, right?
Yeah.
So you're not gonna understand unless you truly start delving into the culture and understanding the language. Again, you ain't got to be fluent. Shalom, brother.
Shalom.
You ain't got to be fluent, but you got to do what they call deciphering. So that's why it's important to understand these things, right?
Speak your language.
What, study it. I'm not even saying speak it, just study it. You see what I'm saying? Because studying it is going to give you an understanding. You see what I'm saying? Speaking will give you an even better understanding, but just studying it will push you to where you need to be. You see what I'm saying? Just through being studious in this language. And also, I'm going to explain something to you. The cool thing about, and why it's even more important for you to study Hebrew language, brother, is because it is the actual language of your foreparents. See what I'm saying? So won't you want to study what we was brought over here on slave boats, correct? You believe so, right? That's what history books say, right? So we had a language and a culture that we were alienated from over the course of time through the transatlantic slave trade, right? So the most ancient form of your culture before that is Hebrew. So you need to get into the Hebrew language. Also, not just because it's going to help you with the scriptures, but because it's your history and it's your heritage. And it's time to put, give me Isaiah 44. You know what I need? Because it's time for you, and it's time for all of us Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians to put back our heritage, right? Because it's been alienated from us, and according to biblical prophecy, it's time for us to take it back, right? So read that.
Isaiah 44:5. One shall say, I am the Lord.
One shall say what?
I am the Lord.
I am the Lord. Read on.
And another shall call himself by the name of Jacob.
Shall call himself what?
By the name of Jacob.
Shall call himself an Israelite, because Jacob's name was changed to what? Israel, right? Shall call himself by the name of Jacob. Read.
And another shall subscribe with his hand unto the Lord, and surname himself by the name of Israel.
He'll say, I'm an Israelite, because that's who you are. You're an Israelite, right? Give me Hosea 1:10. I got it, right? Go ahead.
Hosea 1 and 10.
Uh-huh.
Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea,
So that in the last days, there's going to be a lot of Israelites, right? Read.
which cannot be measured nor numbered.
You ain't going to be able to count all the Israelites in this country, right? Read.
And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people,
And they're going to be told that they're not the Israelites. Because the Israelites are God's people, but it's going to be told to the Israelites, you are not my people. Instead, what will we give? Give me Deuteronomy 28, Proverbs byword. Instead, what will we give? Black. What the hell is black? Your shirt is black, brother. You not. So how in the hell is that your identity, right? That's madness. But instead of being called a child of God, instead of being called an Israelite, you're being told, oh, you're black. You're African American, which is another oxymoron, right? Read.
there shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God.
You are what?
The sons of the living
You are
God.
the sons of the living God, and that's what we're here to tell you. You are one of the chosen people of God. You are a Hebrew Israelite. What you got? Keep on, I need Romans 9. Paul. When Paul quotes, you know what I need? Go ahead.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a
So
byword.
God said his people, as a curse on them, was going to become a proverb and a byword. And that's what all these things are. Black, that's a proverb and a byword. Nigger, spick, beaner, wetback, all these names that they put on blacks and Hispanics, those are what you call proverbs and bywords. That's none of our true identity. You understand what I'm saying? There's no nation of black, no continent of black, right? That's just a damn void color, right? That nobody, we're all various shades of brown, right? So how the hell is black the description of, right? But it all ties into the biblical prophecy that this was going to happen to the Israelites, right? And Paul reiterated
Romans 9 and 25. As he said also in Hosea,
I will say Hosea, right? Quoting the prophet. Read.
I will call them my people, which were not my people.
That's right. I'm gonna call them the people which were told they were not my people. We ain't been told we the Jews. We told some dude, who's this just got arraigned today? Weinstein, Harvey Weinstein, that pedophile. That we've been told that that's God's chosen people. That's the Jews, right? Read.
It says, which was not beloved, and it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living God.
There will be told we're going to get our identity back, that we are the people of God, right? But also, give me Deuteronomy 33 and 4, I think. But not only is the Hebrew language a part of our heritage, there's something else as a part of our heritage that's key, right? Read.
Deuteronomy 33 and 4. Moses commanded us a law.
Moses commanded us a law, right? The law. Read.
Even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob.
That's our inheritance, the law. So we have to come back to the laws, the statutes, and commandments. The book of Exodus, the book of Leviticus, the book of Numbers, the book of Deuteronomy. That's what we have to come back to, the commandments that were given to us there. Because that, just like the Hebrew language, is a part of our heritage. You see what I'm saying? So that's the number one thing we got to come back to. Because we've been going to churches since we got here, right? And what do they tell us in the church? They tell us to keep that Old Testament law in the church.
No,
They don't tell us to, right? But it's our heritage. Except Christ, right? But now let's see if Christ said we got to keep Matthew 5 and 18. Right? Because that's what we got to go by.
Matthew 5 and 18. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth
He
pass.
said what?
Till heaven and earth
So
pass.
heaven and earth pass, right? Has heaven and earth passed? No, right? Read.
One jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law.
He said nothing is going to pass from the law until heaven and earth pass, right? Read.
Till all be fulfilled.
Till what?
All be fulfilled.
Till what?
All be fulfilled. Till all be fulfilled.
Until all be fulfilled. All ain't fulfilled. So I mean that law is still intact. Keep on.
Verse 19. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least
If
commandments,
you break the law, read.
he shall teach men
Not
so,
only if you break it, then you teach people it's okay to break it. Read.
he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven.
You want to be called the least in the kingdom of heaven, brother? You want to be great, right? You want to rule with Christ, don't you? So you cannot break the commandment, and you can't teach people it's okay to break the commandment. They say not even the least of the commandments, right? Read. See that? Go ahead. You got something to say?
So everyone has broken.
Of course, everyone has done it. That doesn't mean we presently do it. That's the key of repentance.
So he said he came to sin.
Yes, to forgive sin. He's going to forgive your sin, but now you're being made aware that you should stop sinning. So now you begin to transition your life into being free from sin. You understand what I'm saying? So now we stop breaking it, right? Like I used to break the law. Now I have knowledge of it, right? I've gotten the Holy Spirit has came upon me. I'm not breaking them no more because I can do all things through Christ, right? That means I can live righteous. That means I can not sin because I have Christ, right? Read.
Whosoever shall do and teach them.
Whoever does the law keeps the commandments. Then not only keeps the commandments, but teaches brothers to keep the commandments. Read.
The same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven.
You want to be called great, brother? You want to rule? You have to do the law and you have to teach the law.
Right.
So when we got the word, we began to keep the commandments, but then you know what else we had to do? I had to come out on these streets and I had to teach brothers like you because I want to rule with Christ. So if you want to rule with Christ, you got to do the same thing. You got to start keeping the commandments, then you have to teach men so, right? That's why we out here, right? We can be doing anything on a Thursday night. This week could be knocking them shots back and moving right? We not though. Instead, we sitting right here and we were out here. The Most High. You got to understand something too. I'm gonna hit you with how ill this is, right? Now we've taught out here before in this spot, but we've also taught over there. I had every intention of teaching in front of the Western today, but when I walked up to the Western, the Most High had one of these horses stop at that curb and take a piss on that curb. So I said, I can't teach right there. I said the Most High must want me over here because there's somebody that I need to get a message to.
That's right.
And here you are right here, brother. Right? So don't take that for granted. This is a very serious thing. What's your name, brother? Yami. Oh, Yami, you already told me. You an Atlanta native, brother? You an Atlanta native? Like you live in Atlanta right now?
I just moved.
You just moved to it, right? Well, we in Atlanta every Thursday and Saturday. And what's even iller is, even more ill than that is, we teach at CNN. We don't even be out here on Thursday. But because of all the damn traffic for the damn Queen concert and the football game, we said, you know what, we're going to set up over here because it's a damn madhouse over there. And here we are, and here y'all mirror. See that precept?
Yeah, I was walking past. I didn't even know. I wasn't even gonna stop. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even know what. I was just like, oh man, there's some Israelites.
Oh, okay. So you don't know something about an Israelite?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, they go about. I think some of them probably go about it the wrong way. Well, I ain't gonna say they go about it the wrong way, but you know what I'm saying?
Different brothers got different spirits.
Yeah.
You know, so you got to understand that some people are receptive to the message in different ways, right? So some people get it when you go about what some would call the wrong way. Some don't, right? So then there's a brother who might go about it the right way. It's different, you know, what they call different ways to skin a cat, right? No way is wrong as long as the cat gets skin, right? But go ahead.
So who y'all believe that?
What, this picture right here?
Yeah.
This is Caesar Borgia, the son of Pope Alexander VI of Rome, whose real name is Rodrigo Borgia. That's who that is. The Pope's son that he had Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci paint as Jesus Christ and propagate to enslave on a mental level the whole earth.
So what about the angel Michael in the Bible?
What about Michael?
The angel.
Certainly.
The angel is that the same angel?
Not Michelangelo.
Like now.
No. Michael is an angel. Michelangelo is a homosexual who was a painter, who was an artist that lived in Italy. Totally different than Michael the Archangel.
Some people say King James.
Well, you can say that. He didn't write the Bible. He authorized the he didn't even translate it. He authorized the translation. So you can say anything you want about King James. Michelangelo is a documented homosexual, right? You can have. I don't care about King James. He didn't write the Bible, and I read Hebrew and I read the Greek. So I don't even need the King James version, right? But people read it. People understand it's the most widely accepted. So that's what we utilize, and it's closer than other versions to the ancient manuscript and the ancient translation. It's a more accurate translation. So that's why we use it. But it's not without flaw. I don't exalt King, whatever with King James. But the fact is, this Bible is real. I can tell you that because I've seen the prophecies. You see what I'm saying? So this is how we understand that. So Michelangelo, who was a homosexual, painted this man, who was Caesar Borgia, who not only was also a homosexual, but was a child molester and a murderer. Murdered his own brother and had sex with his own sister. That's documented in his own memoir, right? And that man is who the world has in their mind as Jesus Christ, the most righteous man who walked the earth. That's a crime.
But if you read some of these kings, you know what I'm saying? I mean, y'all talk about, y'all tell the truth, you know what I'm saying? They were taken in captivity and stuff. My thing was, I'm trying to understand when I read the Bible is why was they serving these other guys? They made, you know, this is why God, it says in Jeremiah, like, he was furious with Israel.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wait on you.
They were burning their kids, they were doing all types of
It's crazy. You talking about that? Literally what we just talking about. Right now.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why he like, you know, punished the Israelites.
Sir, that's why he's punishing the Israelites right now. That's why you see us in this condition we are right now. Same reason.
So I'm trying to understand the truth about Israel.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Who the true God is.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Because I see y'all Israelites out there. You know what I'm saying? How do I know y'all Israelites, you know, don't partake in some of these practices?
What type of practice?
Like, you know what I'm saying? You talk about these kings of Israel, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, some of them did righteous
And some didn't. Most didn't.
A lot of them did.
Most didn't.
You know what I'm saying? They worshiping like things called Asherah.
We don't worship Asherah. And we go in front of the places where they worship Asherah and we condemn it. You know how you worship Asherah? By going to a strip club. Asherah worship is at an ancient strip club. When you go into the history. The history, they would carve a pole out of a tree and women would dance around it. And then you would go into private booths with those women and pay them money for sexual favors. Does that sound like a strip club to you? Or a brothel? Right? It sounds just like it. That's how you know how else you worship Asherah?
They made
By
idols.
celebrate little statues to it. And also by celebrating Easter, because that's where the word Easter comes from, Asherah or Ishtar, which is transliterated to the next language. So Easter, the celebration and commemoration of Easter with the eggs and the rabbits, because we know rabbits don't lay eggs, right? But the reason why they did that is because they was having huge fertility orgies at that time period, right? And
What's going on, bro?
What's going on, King? How you feeling, brother?
All right.
Who has sex faster than a rabbit? Nobody, right? Nobody, right? So that's why they have the rabbit there. Because they wanted to rapidly reproduce and have sex like rabbits. That's where the whole thing of Easter comes from. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so that's the worship of Asherah.
That's what I've been taught. Now, another thing, like, you know what I'm saying? So y'all believe in Elohim or El?
Oh yeah, all those are just Hebrew. Those are just Hebrew words that just mean God, power, or powers. That's all that means.
I've done some research and it said I've read something about El. This lady,
A Canaanite god named El, right? Yeah. Not only is Canaanite have a god named El, the Arabs worship something called Allah, right? Allah is El, and that's all Hebrew. It's all the same thing. But Allah is just, from a Hebraic perspective.
That's who Asherah was.
Well, Asherah is the female consort of El, so it's El's wife in their pantheon of cosmology. What you have to understand is, in the Hebrew language, which the Canaanites spoke and which the Arabs speak, the word Allah or El is a generic word for God. It's the same thing like in the English God, right? So you can say God and mean the Most High, or you can say God and that God's like a God, or you can say God and it's a false God, right? There's no monopoly on that word. It's generic. You see what I'm saying? So the word El or Allah in Hebrew is also generic. It just means God or power. It's applied to men, it's applied to idols, and it's applied to the Most High. See what I'm saying? So it's generic. That's why when you asked when you walked up, what is his name? I say Yahweh. Because his name is not generic. His name is his name. You see what I'm saying? So El or Allah or Elohim, Elohim, those are just titles, or those are generic. Yahweh is the transliteration, right? The modern transliteration. The ancient form is Yahweh. Just like Yehoshua or Yeshua is the transliteration of Yahushua. The ancient way to say it is Yahushua. Because the Hebrew language do not have vowels in it. There's vowel is not represented. You see what I'm saying? Except for the aleph and the ayin. Those are the only two vowels. Everything else is totally consonantal. You see what I'm saying? So it's Yahweh and it's Yahushua. Then later comes vowels. They introduce vowels into it. So you get Yeshua, Yehoshua. You see what I'm saying? O's, U's, E's. That's not present in the language prior to what they call the Matrix Lectionis, and then later they even added more, right, with the time of the Nazarenes. They have vowel points in it, right? So that's later. Yahweh and Yahushua, that's the most ancient form of that, so you can understand.
So you don't believe El is a translation from the Baal?
No. Well, all is also generic. It just means Lord. Those are just generic terms. So other
Well,
people
the
call
God.
their God that, but as far as we're concerned, that's a generic, in our language, that's a generic term. So there are lords, there are people who are called, there's a Hebrew Israelite named Baal. It didn't mean he's a lord. That's all that means.
Are you familiar with, I believe, the prophet Jehoiakim?
Jehoiakim.
He
The high priest, Jehoiakim.
yeah, they were basically, the people was worshiping something called Baal.
Yeah, Baal. Yeah.
Baal.
Canaanite did.
Yeah,
Yeah, Baal.
He said, and that wasn't the true God of Israel.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So
The Canaanite did.
Yeah, he took all the, he went and he
Got the priest
he
of
got
Baal,
the priest of Baal,
got him in a room and killed them all.
Killed
Read
them
this
all.
brother
Jehu, talking about Jehu?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jehu did that, not Jehoiakim. Jehoiakim was the high priest. Jehu did that. But yeah, that was, it's crazy. Everything you're talking about, we just went into this week or we went into last week. See what I'm saying? So yeah, he did that.
So that's not the God of Israel.
No, that's the Canaanite dude.
Yeah.
He's a part of the Canaanite pantheon. And also, the term Baal is also used generically to describe a lot of different gods, male gods of the Canaanites and of the Babylonians. They'll call Baal, like this white boy right here, he's like a modern day Baal. That's Baal now. You know what I'm saying? He's being pawned off as Christ, but he's not Christ. You see what I'm saying? Precept?
Yeah, 1 Corinthians 8 and 5.
That's what it was.
For though there be,
Go ahead, let's read this.
for though there be that are called gods, whether in heaven or earth,
There are many things called God, read.
as there be gods many and lords many,
But there are many gods and many lords, read.
but to us there is but one God.
But to us, ain't but one. That's the Most High. So there's many things that's called Baal, that's called El, but to us it's one.
When I read in the Old Testament, especially, you know what I'm saying, like the Book of Kings, like the God of Israel, he was saying over and over, you know, many times he references, he says, I would destroy the Baal, you know, the Baal worship, you know what I'm
Yes,
saying? He keeps saying like, you know what I'm saying, if they followed after Asherah, I'll destroy the Asherah and Baal, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I wanted to make sure that y'all don't worship.
Oh no, hell no.
Asherah
Certainly not.
Baal.
And if you see us doing it, you ain't got to get with it, brother.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand.
But
Israel.
you have to keep the laws though, right?
Yeah.
So let's see you come across us or any brothers, and you say, oh, these brothers do us. Okay, let's say we were. That doesn't change the fact you got to keep the law. You see what I'm saying? So if we doing something wrong, don't follow us in that wrong. You see what I'm saying? But at least take the we taught you out of the scriptures. Keep the law. But we don't. We certainly don't worship after. We're trying to rid our people of that stuff because that's what got us here. We want out of here. We don't want in
I
here.
want to see the people of Israel, like, you know, Israel free. You
Yourself.
know
You
what
want to see
I'm saying?
yourself
I want to
free.
see myself free.
That's right, brother.
And I have with my own eyes, I've witnessed, you know, that they make these statues. They do, you know, they got all these Easter, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, all that.
Easter is big in America.
Huge.
You know what I'm saying?
Walking to Walmart, brother, they done cleared the whole front of the store out for Easter basket.
What is it, September or something?
No,
What?
that's April. Easter.
Oh, April.
It's something coming up probably though.
Halloween.
So,
It's
so
gonna
Halloween,
come up,
Halloween,
you know, it's gonna come up.
All this
They're
matter.
gonna have Easter bunnies and eggs, you know what I'm saying? They still,
idolatry.
yeah,
They're
that
doing the
custom.
thing that if you just read in the Bible, the Lord judged people for. He
Yeah.
brought armies against people and wasted entire nations of people for practicing it. You see what I'm saying? And here America is still doing it and thinking in their mind that they're not going to get a judgment. Well, they don't get the judgment.
First Kings 19 and 18.
You're going to see it. You can't even, you send your kids to school, they're going to see it. You see what I'm saying? You got to make sure you tell your kids, listen, okay, there are going to be bunnies around your damn school. It's madness, don't participate. Valentine come out. No, we ain't sending you to school with no damn Nico wafer. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
1 Kings 19 and 18. Yet I have left me 7,000 in Israel.
So the Lord always have a remnant reserved. He said, I've left me 7,000 Israel. Read.
All the knees which have not bowed unto Baal.
He said, there's a group of brothers that's not going to bow to Baal. You see what I'm saying? And that's who we represent. And that's what we're calling people out of bowing to Baal.
That's
Come
right.
and not bow to Baal. You see what I'm saying? So that's what it's about. You got a precept? Go ahead.
Exodus chapter 6, verse 3.
Uh-huh.
And I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob by the name of God Almighty. By my name, Yahweh, was I not known to him.
Exactly. So he appeared unto Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob by the name of Al-Shaddai, right? Al-Shaddai. So that term El, or what they would call El Shaddai. So that was applicable to the Most High too. It's generic though. But what's exclusive to the Most High is the name Yahweh. That's his name. So when we pray to the Most High, we pray to Yahweh. and we're doing so in the name of the mediator, which is his son, Yahweh Shai. You see what I'm saying? That's how we give our prayers, or as we say, Yahweh Bahashem, which is in the name of Yahweh Shai. That's how we pray, right? You have something?
Yeah, I'll do that. Proverbs 30:4. Who hath ascended up into heaven or descended?
Read on.
Who hath gathered the wind in his fist? Who hath bound the waters in a garment?
Read on.
Who hath established all the ends of the earth? What is his name?
His name, the Most High. What is his name? Yahweh. Read.
And what is his son's name?
His what?
His son's
So
name.
he's been talking about his son going all the way there. What is his son's name? Read.
If thou canst tell.
If thou canst tell. Showing you that it was going to be a mystery in large part. He said, if you can tell me what the name is, a lot of people were not going to have an understanding of that name. See, the Bible says that the name of the Most High, Yahweh, is dreadful among the heathen.
That's right.
So people who are not Israelites are not even, they have a hard time even uttering that name.
That's right.
That's why the Jewish man called God Hashem, which just means the name. Like I like just saying, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Hashem just means the name. They won't utter the name because they're afraid of that name. Like we had a Jewish man on the show yesterday. So when I was talking to him, I said Hashem, right? And he said, yes, Hashem, because he don't want to say that name. He's afraid of that name because he's not a real Jew, and it's dreadful. Because when they think of that name, they think about what he's done to people. They think about how many Egyptians he killed. You see what I'm saying? That's a lot. Something like that. This guy, he kills people who mess with his people. You see what I'm saying? So they're terrified of that. They don't want to say that name. Right? You see what I'm saying? Yahweh Shai, the name of the Son. Yahweh, the name of the Son. Right? Precept, go ahead.
All right, this is the book of Acts, chapter 26, and verse 14. And when we were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me and saying in the Hebrew tongue, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks.
So who's talking right now? No, somebody's talking to Saul. Who's talking to Saul?
Is that the son?
Jesus, right? Who they call Jesus. What language is he speaking? Read it from the top.
And when we were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me and saying in the Hebrew tongue.
In the what tongue?
In the Hebrew
he
tongue.
He spoke the Hebrew, so that lets you know his name is Hebrew. Because that's what he's communicating. You don't see, there's no documentation of Christ speaking any language outside of Hebrew. The only time that he's identified his language. I mean, one, he's a Jew and he's talking to Jews, so we can assume that, right? But here, it is specifically saying, this voice said in the Hebrew tongue, read.
And I said...
Well, that's it on that, because that's the point.
Oh, okay, yeah. What he was saying.
So that's the language he spoke. So that's why it's important for us to come back to it again. It's our heritage. It's like his law, right? Now the laws we can start using quicker than understanding fully the Hebrew language. So I'm gonna tell you, hurry up and get on the law. And of course, we can't negate faith, the faith in Christ, because faith is everything, right? As well, faith and works, they go together. One without the other is dead. So we know we have to do the works part, which is the law, but we have to also have to give me Isaiah 26:3, right? Faith has always been important in the old, because people act like faith is a New Testament concept. It's been the message from the beginning. So read
Isaiah 26:3. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace.
So like it's so easy.
Isaiah 26:2.
Read on.
Open ye the gates, that the righteous nation, which keepeth the truth,
We keep it what? The truth. The truth. When you look that word, the truth up, is why it's important to study the Hebrew. The word for the truth there is translated the truth. It's actually the word for faith. The Hebrew word amawah, faith. It's saying, open the gates for the righteous nation that has faith, that keeps faith. Read.
may enter in.
That's right. So when are we going to be saved and be able to enter into our kingdom? When we have faith. So we have to keep the law and we have to have faith. Like love and marriage, you can't have one without the other. You see what I'm saying? Other precept?
I got a precept.
Go ahead.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 14, verse 12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God in the faith of Jesus.
See that? That's all it is. You have to keep the commandments and the faith. They got to be coupled together, or else you're not going to be worthy of salvation. So that's the key message that we hear. Because a lot of times we've been raised up in churches that just tell us to have faith and forsake the other part, the works part. But no, it's got to be. They right. You got to have faith, but you also got to have works. One without the other, it's dead. You see what I'm saying? They're necessity, right? What else you got?
That's pretty much it, man. Thank y'all for praying.
It's all simple.
Where y'all worship at? Y'all got something
Not currently, man. We just come out here to the streets, man, and kick it raw to the people. That's how we do. So we out the flyer, but CNN, in front of CNN, you know the CNN building is at, right? We're in front of CNN, so if not, you can always Google it. We're in front of CNN Thursday nights and Saturday afternoon. You know what I'm saying? We out there kicking, so you want to come catch us on. Look us up on YouTube. We got a Sakari show.
I got it.
Look up Sakari. Right? On the YouTube, we'll pop right up. Plethora of content, videos for you to learn from, you know, and contact information, things of that nature. But you can always catch us on the street if you have any questions, brother. So reasonable service, you know what I'm saying? Definitely. Yamir, right? Pleasure to meet you, Alizar. Pleasure to meet you, King. Definitely. What we have before our brother came? 350. Give me Revelation 11. 350. Right? Going to that.
Revelation chapter 11, verse 11. And after 3 days and a half,
Real one.
and after 3 days and a half, the Spirit of life from God entered into them. And they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them.
That's right. That's dealing with the Elder Bivens when he started going out to the streets in 1969. That's when that started, right? Read. You all right?
Verse 12. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither, and they ascended up into heaven.
Salakia, I need you to go up a little earlier, where it talks about the city, because I need context. 8. Start at 8. Yeah, go
Revelation
ahead.
8, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
So that's talking about America, right? So a lot of brothers, they start the 400-year captivity at 1969, which that's off. It starts at 1441. But what does start at 1969 is our dead bodies lying in the great streets of the great city, right? The great city is in reference to Babylon, which is America. Read.
It says, where also our Lord was crucified.
Right? How is the Lord crucified here? You got Christians that go, this got to be Jerusalem. How is Jerusalem Babylon? That's madness. How is our Lord crucified here? Because we are, as a collective nation, the body of Christ, right? So what they do to us is a shadow of what they're actually doing to Him, right? So that's how. In Haiti, they crucified some 14 in the 1920s. The United States Marine Corps crucified a brother to a damn door in Haiti and paraded his dead body around. Brother by the name of Charlemagne Peralta, all right? The real Charlemagne guy. You see what I'm saying? They crucified him. So that's how this is where our Lord was crucified, not to mention all the lies they tell about him, not to mention the fact that they parade him around as a damn white man. That's also a part of the crucifixion of our Lord, right? Keep going in that.
Verse 9, and they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days
So
and a half.
everyone saw that we were in slavery. The whole world seen that. Everybody knew about it. They make jokes about it in every country on earth, including Africa to this day. Read.
They shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves.
They didn't suffer us a burial, right? Because what do they call it when they bury somebody? He got laid to rest. Nobody came and laid us to rest. Nobody came and gave us any rest. That's what that means. Read.
And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them.
That's right. They that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over. So all the nations rejoiced as we were in slavery. Read.
And make merry, and shall send gifts one to another.
That's right. Go ahead.
Because these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth.
Representing the law and the prophets. Go ahead.
And after 3 days and a half,
And after the 350 years, read.
the Spirit of life from God entered into them.
So it's no coincidence that 350 years after 1619, all of a sudden, a brother has a school in Harlem and starts teaching on the streets that we have to keep the laws and the faith in Yahushua. That's not a coincidence. 350 years later exactly. And we stood up and he began to bring men, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians together under these laws, statutes, commandments in Christ. Read.
And they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them.
That's right, and great fear. Meaning everybody, that's even to this day. They take a look at us and they're definitely afraid of us.
Right.
Of us coming out here to the streets and teaching this word. Shalom, what's going on? It's your brother, Chief Priest Alizar Bonloya, aka the Gorilla Hebrew. And I'm just letting y'all know I just dropped my official clothing line, Urban Gorilla. Go to urbangorilla.com right now to check us out, man, and pick something up. There's URBNGRLA.com. We got all kind of items for men, women, children, even infants, as well as fragrance oil, smell goods. You can also check out Hebrew Israelite Clothing Co., another Sakari business, on Instagram and Facebook. And as always, you can hit up deaconsakari.com to get your plug on the scarves, the music, and the children's Bibles. Thanks for your time. All praise to the Most High. Kwam Yasharala. Shalom.